local news, obituaries, police splatter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. The Honorable State Senator Sally Turner in studio with us. How are you, Sally?
Doing great, thanks. Another pretty day outside.
Really is. I've got Bill Howder on Monday, and he'll appreciate that I put the Honorable
in front of it.
Yeah, in front of you. He likes to give you a hard time about that sometimes.
He's quite ornery. But I'll tell you what, couldn't have two better partners than him and Regan Daring.
Yeah. Yep. Regan's on next week. So
Great
looking
reps.
forward to having them on and recap the latest legislative cycle. And speaking of, Sally, it wouldn't be a new Illinois budget if there weren't more taxes coming the way of Illinoisans. What are the highlights of some of those this year?
Okay, so with the budget that just got passed, whenever that was, in the middle of the night on Monday, well, no, it was not the middle of the night. It was early morning of Monday.
June 1, really?
Yeah, basically it was. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I was driving home when the sun was coming up. Anyway,
Oh, jeez.
$56 billion budget. And a lot of that budget money consisted of, in order to fill that budget hole, sweeps. Sweeps, I believe it was $150 million of sweeps from some funds, and then also taxes. The different taxes that we're going to see coming up are a digital advertising tax. So you want me to just keep talking?
Yeah, please. Yeah,
Okay,
you're fine. Yeah, you're good. Yeah,
That digital advertising tax, what concerns us most is that there's a lot of small businesses that use digital advertising because it's cheaper. Yeah, exactly.
That's our lifeblood.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
our
cheaper.
lifeblood.
It's a lot cheaper than getting on TV and trying to advertise it, or even paper advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new 10% tax on those advertising services.
A 10%?
And it estimates $140 million in revenue. So
We'll
looking
see
at-
if we actually realize that.
that's true. So that money that they're estimating, and then that'll be a filler for whatever projects that they decided to appropriate for. But we don't know if that revenue is really going to come in. It's fake. It's fake money, basically.
But you spend it anyways.
Right. Exactly. You totally hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Then we have a crypto tax. The crypto tax is actually harder for me to understand, but it's 0.2% basis points. And it's on the physical location within Illinois that is taxable. Now, how cryptocurrency all works, I do not know. I don't have that kind of money to invest in cryptocurrency, nor did I ever. But I know that's something that's going to generate some revenue, but they didn't even have an estimate on what that was going to generate. So again, some fictitious figure that they plug in the budget. A social media platform fee, which that has to do with if you have more than 100,000 users in Illinois, then a fee's charged on you for a per month basis, and it slides up to 10 cents to 50 cents a month. They're estimating that to be a $200 million a year revenue source.
How do you tax a Facebook?
Great point. How do you do that? No one has said how. There's no process in place in order to do it. I suspect it'll be somewhat in the way of how they started taxing us for our Amazon purchases and things like that, that there'll be a way that they can see that. I don't know, but again, fictitious money created to plug a hole in the budget. It's not real money yet. Fantasy sports, that was an additional 10% tax on adjusted gross receipts. And then,
so it's not necessarily on your bets for that one. I mean, for the folks that are in the daily fantasy sports world, it doesn't sound like that's like with the gambling stuff. I was telling you this off the air. With the gambling stuff, you get squeezed per bet you make, but with this, it's based off your winnings. It sounds like
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. Well, I don't win anything, so that's I guess that's fine. I guess I'll get back into DFS.
I've never tried that before, but
it's
I should
Sally,
look at it.
It's a whole thing.
It's addictive.
It's addictive. It's a whole, like, there is a whole media industry around that. There are people that just make tons of money off that stuff. So I guess if they're in Illinois, they're going to get taxed on
Exactly.
that now.
Yeah.
All
Welcome
right.
to Illinois. Woohoo. We'll tax you.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing that there's another thing that's very difficult to understand is net operating loss caps.
Okay.
That's an estimated $300 million in revenue. And that pauses some money that's they're going to do some kind of flip with that so that they take money from mass transit. It's a very difficult calculation that is yet to be understood in any depth.
Mhm.
But that's something that your tax man will probably end up talking to you about for
So
next year.
you lose money and then you're taxed on that loss.
Yes, there's a lesser amount that you can lose that they want to tax you on. Basically,
It just doesn't make sense that you're losing money and you get taxed on your losses.
yeah. However, that's business bigger than me.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. There's probably people out there that understand that better than us.
Exactly. And last but not least, we have a cigar tax.
A cigar tax.
Yep, cigar
my.
tax. And they think that's going to bring in $5 million a year. Now, how estimated revenue has to do with how they weren't taxed like the cigarette tax were. And so this will give them, will tax the remote sales of cigars.
So when you go to buy, and I guess I didn't make this connection with the cigarette tax. I don't even know how old that is. So when you go to buy cigarettes, you're already taxed, sales tax through your local government, sales tax through the state government, and now you have an additional tax because it's a cigar.
This one has to do with remote sales. So it'd be an electronic sale. Because I think they were seeing that there were sales of cigars online and they wanted to stop that.
Of course. Oh my, Sally, if you just summed up the
tax
state of Illinois, you just summed up the strategy of the state of Illinois right there.
Yeah.
They saw it wasn't being taxed and they taxed it. If that's not the state of Illinois in a sentence, I don't know what is.
You're right. And they're taxing us out of Illinois is what they're doing. I even saw for a moment there was a bill out there that was a tax that if you left Illinois, they wanted to tax you.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Seriously, people?
Sure. Yeah.
You're gonna make us stay here
Yeah.
in your corner. Anyway, that's some of the tax stuff. But then I also can talk a little bit about the faux tax relief, basically, which is your 1 cent tax, not sales, on your gas. So they're lifting that. I believe it starts in July.
Yeah. So they lifted that, huh? Okay.
But not the sales tax. The sales tax is way more than the 1 cent tax, which goes to the road fund. I believe it's 6.25. So
wasn't it supposed to go to 10?
Yeah, the increase starting in July. So they didn't take that away or give that a holiday. It's the 1 cent. So you get a whole flipping $5 over 6 months. It didn't really help you much, but it looks good.
Right. You can call it tax relief.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Kind of press release politics type of stuff. Sure.
Exactly.
Yep. Sure. Well, and again, State Senator Sally Turner in studio with us today as we recap the recent legislative cycle through the state of Illinois. Illinois wrapped up, sounds like early in the morning on Monday, Sally. And that begs the question. All these taxes continue to just flow out of Springfield. Every single budget, there's new ways that the state of Illinois is finding to tax us. And it begs the question, and I think it's a worthy one. What are we getting for all these taxes?
Yeah, great point. A lot of those are plans for things that are north of I-80, as you can imagine, because the majority of the population's up there anyway. I tell you one thing I saw in I guess it was in the BIMP, in the implementation.
What's
part,
the BIMP?
Budget implementation. You have a budget, you have the implementation of the budget, and you have a revenue package. Revenue is how do I fund the budget. The BIMP is how it all works, how it all comes together.
Sure.
There was a allocation for, I believe it was $750,000. And I remember we were sitting in session, and Senator Chapin Rose says, check this out. It was $750,000 for Hustle Mommies. Hustle Mommies.
What? What is this?
And of course, everybody immediately looked it up. It's a group in inner city Chicago that I will say does a few good things, like helping teach mothers how to properly care for their children, things of that nature, things that our state government should already be doing, but whatever. But there's a portion of it that's related to it was called Mamas for Kamala. Was a portion of it. So that's political. I mean, you're giving $750,000 to a group that does basically political things in the city. That is totally wrong.
Well, that's got to be half the Illinois budget, isn't it?
I don't know. Would one of our schools have been happy to get $750,000? I think they would have been.
Well, hell, that's happening in the school too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And there's a few other things that happened in the budget. We did get additional monies for it's a fund that helps some of our school districts be funded. It's through that whole calculation of what they use for school funding. But 72 of our schools used this fund to help reduce get some property tax relief. And they did fund that again this year. It had, I believe it was lost. It ended in 23, but it got put back in 25. Does every school get that? No. It's part of the EBF calculation.
Yeah.
I don't exactly know how that all works.
Sure. I tell you what, Sally, that brings up for me. I know one of the talking points with my local superintendents in the area has been
Absolutely.
the cuts to transportation and the those things. Let's maybe dive into that if that's all right. On the other side of the break, the Honorable State Senator Sally Turner in studio with us this morning. More to come with Sally on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. We're in the red with corn, beans, and Chicago wheat at this hour. July corn down 7 3/4, 423 3/4. September corn down 7 1/4, 433, and December corn 452 1/2, down 7 1/4. July beans 11.31 1/4, down 22 3/4. August beans down 22 1/2, 11.35 3/4. November beans 11.46 1/2, down 20 3/4. July Chicago wheat 5.83 3/4, down 3 1/2. July KC wheat 6.19, down a nickel. July bean meal 314.60, down 6.20. July bean oil 77.02, down $1.69. Livestock trade August feeders 347.77, up 5.15. June live cattle up $1.67, 248.30. June lean hogs 95.12, down 92 cents. Energy market August Brent crude oil 94.95, down 286.
Paul Scourin here, CEO of Warner Hospital. Spring allergies acting up? At Warner Hospital and Health Services, we offer fast treatment to help you breathe easier and feel better fast. Quality care right here, right now. Click on our icon on DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police splatter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today, State Senator Sally Turner, as we recap the recent state of Illinois legislative session, wrapped up in the early hours Monday with a new state budget. And Sally, you mentioned at the end of our first segment there, schools, transportation. I've had superintendents superintendents on the show the last few months talking about anticipating their mandated categoricals and transportation, special ed, things like that. Right now, it's transportation that they're watching closely. That is right now underfunded, and they plan on it getting worse. How about what the state of Illinois is doing with those things?
And you're right. That's most of the phone calls that I've received as well was from superintendents basically saying that we can't continue to function in our transportation line item if we don't get some help. Now, I do know that in the budget, it brought that line item up to where it has been, but it's still 34% less than what it should be. So our schools are still struggling. And as you and I had already discussed, what happens is when the state doesn't help fund that to the amount that it needs to be funded, it's reflected on your property taxes because your school districts are having to levy the maximum amount in order to get the money in order to transport their kids. And we know downstaters, we have a lot of rural school districts. Just take, for example, Olympia. Their transportation is huge because of so many different towns they have to go to bring their kids in. So this is affecting all of our schools. I just talked to Middletown the other day, and they're having a tough time with it too. So
everybody is.
It does nothing but increase our property taxes. So they need to fully fund that. They need to fully fund EBF. They need to fully fund all the things that have to do with our school districts, because our taxpayers can't take it anymore. We can't take it anymore for our real estate taxes. We can't take it anymore for food, our grocery bills, our electric bills, our gas bills. If you're an everyday average person out there trying to make it and you live alone, I don't know how you're making it. I truly don't. You certainly can't afford a house. You barely probably can afford your rent payment. And you certainly can't afford your electric bill.
Right. Yep. No question. No question. Sally, speaking of energy bill, let's go there next. I know some proposals, some discussion about some energy legislation. What was on the table and what ended up happening?
Yeah, there was a bill out there called the Power Act, and it did not move. There was a lobby for it, but it didn't move. The Power Act puts guardrails on data centers. But one of the things that it does with that the Power Act does is that it requires those data centers to be powered by green renewable, but not nuclear. So I know the environmentalists don't like nuclear.
Right.
But they like wind and solar. But I guess what they're not putting together is that how much energy a data center would have to use, where you have to put a giant solar plant of 20 miles or something in order to power that. That's not going to work.
There's a lot of things that they put out there that aren't going to work.
Yeah. So that Power Act didn't go anywhere. But the fix to the CEJA bill, which is just all it was a trailer bill. There were little things in that.
Now, what's CEJA?
It's the energy bill that there was a CEJA and I forgot. The CEJA was the first one that passed for green energy, basically, is what it was, and took the power away from local governments.
Okay, that was that one. Okay, sure.
And then
now what's a trailer bill?
Yes, and then after that, there was another amendment which did setbacks, and it said that you could be they could put a battery storage facility up to 150 feet from your property line. That was the most recent one, and now this one was another trailer to it. That did basically nothing to help us. It didn't give us any guidance on data centers. It didn't, when Logan County's looking at a data center vote, I think tonight, and I think they had to come up with their own ordinance about what are the parameters, what are the guardrails we're going to put on this, whether it has to do with recyclable water, or if it's water that they pull from the aquifer, all those types of things. The state government wants to stick their nose in our business like they did with CEJA all before that, with the setbacks and what you could and couldn't do, and how you had to start shutting down your gas plants and your coal plants. But they're leaving that up to the local government to make their decisions. And I find that ironic because
they've come in over the top with everything else.
Yeah. So
well, and I think, if I may, it's politically disadvantageous to them, because I think folks across every side of the spectrum don't like data centers.
Mhm.
And so instead of putting themselves in jeopardy politically, they just say, we'll
You
leave
deal
this.
with it.
Yeah, we'll leave this one up to the local people who their lives aren't as dependent on their political future. You know what I mean? So that's my theory on
No,
it.
I think you probably hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. So plus it's an election year. You know, who's to say this time next year, after all the elections have played out, we're not revisiting this and it comes through, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, no doubt. Very good. I know there was another one we wanted to get to, Sally. Forgive me, and I'm blanking on it right now, or at least I'm not coming up with it. Was there something else we wanted to talk about this morning?
First of all, there was almost 10,000 bills that were filed in the session.
Wow. Filed?
Yeah.
How many passed?
So around 300.
Okay.
Go figure. So here's the wild thing with all of that is even when it gets filed, we have to research it. We have to find out what it is. We got to find out what the problems are with it. How do you negate anything that's going to occur because of it? So you have your staff is looking at the 10,000 bills, whatever they are, and then it comes down to a few that get trickling in past. Wait, here's a good one for you. One of the important bills that passed was, you saw my quotes around there, so not everybody can see that, that when an entity offers CPR, whether it's a school or the Red Cross or whoever it is offering CPR, you have to not only have a male mannequin, you have to have a female mannequin. What? First of all, how much do those cost? That you have to have both? So we had a firefighter who's also a paramedic that got up and said, it doesn't make any difference. You just move your stuff out of the way and do the same compressions. I mean, that's what you do. So anyway, to us, that wasn't like number one on anybody's list. We weren't looking at what are the remedies that we can help people every day to get them back on their feet.
Right.
And help them with everyday things instead of passing out money to crap like I said,
hustle mommies.
Hustle mommies. You've got to be kidding me.
Sure. The priorities are whack in there for sure. Well, Sally, I know we could talk for another 20, 30 minutes on this, but I got to let you go for the day. The Honorable State Senator Sally Turner in studio with us here for this morning. We appreciate her time as always. Network News comes your way now.
WHOW.